Hi guys, it's me Terri of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial we are going to do a pattern by Yarnspirations, and I will link the pattern below in the description box so that you can print out a copy of the pattern. And so today's pattern is the Here's My Heart gift bag, okay, from Yarnspirations, okay? So here is the finished product. I think it's super cute. You have a little pocket here in the front for a little Valentine's card, and then you also have the main pocket here, okay? So I think it's really cute. It would be really cute filled with Valentine's candy and a card for a little girl. The little girl could also have it as a purse afterwards. I just really think it turned out really cute. So let me tell you now the materials and things that you need to make this bag, okay? Okay, so you're going to need some worsted weight yarn in two colors. You want your main color, which I used red. And this is worsted weight, like I said. And then you're also going to need a small amount of white, also worsted weight, okay? And then you're going to need two crochet hooks. You're going to need a larger hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter hook, okay? That's what you will use for most of the pattern. And then, but you're also going to need a 5 millimeter hook to do the handles on the bag. You're going to need a couple of stitch markers, and of course scissors and a yarn needle. And you also may find it helpful to have a few pins, okay, straight pins, so that you can pin down things while you're sewing them. And I think that is it, besides, like I said, the pattern, which I will link below in the description box. Okay, so let's get started and we will make this adorable Here's My Heart gift bag, okay? The first piece of the project we're going to do is we are going to do the big hearts that are on either side of the bag, okay? So you're going to take your red worsted weight yarn, and you're going to take your 5.5 millimeter or eye hook, and we're going to start with a magic circle or an adjustable ring. You can also chain two and then work in the second chain from the hook if you prefer to do that, okay? But I'm going to do a magic circle, okay? And it says once you do the magic circle, you want to chain one, and then you want to do a single crochet into the ring, chain two, 1, 2, and then another single crochet into that magic circle or into the ring, okay? And that is all for row 1, okay? So now I'm going to tighten up my adjustable, my magic circle. You don't want to tighten it up all the way, okay? But you want to tighten it up so then it doesn't come apart, okay? Okay, going on to row 2, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. In the instructions it says to turn your work and then do a chain 1, but I always like to do the turning chain before I turn my work. Okay, so I chained 1, turned my work. Now I'm going to do a single crochet into the first stitch, which is a single crochet from round 1. Okay, and then I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into that chain 1 space from round 1. Okay, so into the chain 1 space, I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and then a single crochet back into that chain space, okay? And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the last single crochet of that round, okay? So at the end of round 2, you will have 2 single crochets, a chain 2, and then 2 single crochets, okay? Okay, going on to row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, now we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each single crochet on the side, and then when we come to the chain 2 space, we're going to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then we will do single crochets down the other side. Okay, so we're making a mitered square shape. Okay, so we're going to do a single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So single crochets until you reach the chain 2 space that's in the top corner, and then in that chain 2 space we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and then a single crochet again into that chain space. And then now we're working down this side, and so we're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch and then a single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, and that will get you down to the next side. Okay, going on to round 4, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and now we're just going to repeat what we did in round 3. Okay, so this time we have 3 single crochets on one side with a chain 2 space in the corner, and then 3 single crochets down the next side. Okay, so we're going to work into all those stitches. So we're going to do a single crochet in these 3, taking us all the way up to the corner space. So that's 1 single crochet in the first one, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the third stitch. And now we're in the chain 2 corner, and so in the corner we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and a single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to work our way down the second side, and there's 3 single crochet stitches right there, so we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those. So 1, 2 and 3. That gets us down that side. Okay, so at the end of round 4 you should have 4 single crochets, the chain 2 in the corner, and then 4 single crochets down the other side. Okay, so chain 1, turn our work, and on to round 5 we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way up the side until we get to the chain 2 in the corner. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're in the corner space. So in the corner space we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and a single crochet. Okay, and then now we need to go down these 4 stitches down the side with 1 single crochet into each stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is the end of row 5. Okay, so at the end of row 5 you should have 5 single crochets, a chain 2, and then 5 single crochets. Okay, so each row is growing by 1 single crochet each time. Okay, and so like I said, that is the end of row 5. So you're going to continue doing that exact same pattern, just single crocheting in each single crochet on one side until you get to the corner. And then when you get into that corner chain 2 space, you will do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 corner space, and then you'll do a single crochet down the opposite side. Okay, and so each time it will grow by 1 single crochet per side. So keep repeating that. Like I said, we just finished row 5, so now you're going to chain 1 and turn your work and start on row 6. So do that until you get to row 14. And so you do row 14, and at the end of row 14 you should have 14 single crochets on one side, and then a chain 2 corner space, and then 14 single crochets down the next side. Okay, so just continue with this pattern until you get 14, and then chain 2 and 14, and I will meet you up when I get there, when I get mine done. Okay. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so I just finished row 14, and I have 14 single crochets on one side, and then the chain 2 space up in the top corner, and then I have 14 single crochets down the second side. Okay. Okay, so when you get to this point, the end of row 14, it says to put let me reach over here, to put a stitch marker into the chain 2 space of that round. Okay, so this is the point that is opposite the beginning point where you did the magic circle. Okay, so we'll put a marker in that chain 2 space. Okay, So going on to row 15, we're going to make the first lobe of the heart, okay? So let's chain 1. And it says single crochet into the first 5 stitches. Okay, so we chained 1. Now I'm going to turn my work, okay? Single crochet into the first 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the next 2 stitches and I'm going to do 5 double crochets in the next stitch. So a double crochet, so I'm going to yarn over to prepare for it. It says to skip the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2. I'm going to do 5 double crochets into the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 double crochets all in 1 stitch. Okay, and now it says to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do a single crochet in the last 4 stitches. So skip the next 2, 1 and 2, and then single crochet into the next 4 after those 2 that you skipped. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Okay, so now we have one more stitch to make. We're going to do a single crochet in to that chain 2 space that we have marked. Okay, we're going to do a single crochet into that space. Okay, so now at the end of that row you should have 5 double crochets right there in the middle, and then you should have 10 single crochets. Okay, so that would be 5 on either side of that fan space. Okay. Okay, going on to row 16, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then we're going to do a single crochet in the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now we're going to yarn over because we're getting ready to do a double crochet. It says to skip the next 2 stitches and do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So skip the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. We're going to double crochet into the next stitch, and that happens to be the first double crochet in that fan that shell piece, the shell where we did 5 double crochets in 1 stitch of the last round. Okay, so you should be in the first double crochet of that fan. Okay, so into the next double crochet, we're going to do 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So 1 and 2. Okay, now we are at the top of that shell. Okay, and in that next double crochet we're going to do 3 double crochets into that stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work our way down that shell piece, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the final double crochet. Okay, and now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2. We're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that will get us the end of row 16, and at the end of row 16 you will have 9 double crochets right there in the middle, and then you will have 3 single crochets on either side. Okay, okay, we're going to chain let's see, we are now going to we're not going to chain 1 this time. We're just going to turn our work, and we're going to go on to row 17. Okay, so in row 17 we're going to skip the first 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we're going to be working in these double crochets. We're going to do 2 double crochet into the next stitch, which is the first double crochet of the row there. So 2 double crochets into that stitch. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to repeat that little sequence. So we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so that will get us up to the middle of that fan shape. And into that next stitch, which is the middle stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets into that. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to work our way down, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, so 1 and 2, and then we're going to repeat that, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the last stitch, the last double crochet, 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and slip stitch in the last stitch. So skip the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and in the last stitch of the round of that row, the previous row, we are going to do a slip stitch, okay, to finish off. Okay, so there is our first lobe of our heart, and so now we are going to fasten off and cut our yarn. Okay, so just give yourself, you don't need a whole lot of yarn, you just need a few inches there, you know, to so you can weave in your end. Okay, so I'm gonna act like I'm chaining 1, okay, and then I'm just gonna pull it all the way through to fasten off, and then I'm gonna snug that down. Okay, so there is the first lobe of our heart. Okay, so now we're going on to the second lobe of the heart. It says with the right side facing, okay, which is the side that you finished. This is the right side, okay? So we're not going to turn, we won't turn it yet, okay? So with the right side facing, and you're still using the larger hook, the 5.5 millimeter hook, we're going to take our red yarn again, which is color A, whatever color you've been using, okay? And we're going to join this red color with a slip stitch into that corner space, which is still, we still have it marked, okay? So into that corner space, okay, we're going to draw up a loop of our red color, okay? And then we're going to chain 1, and that will secure it down like a slip stitch, okay? Okay, it says now we're going to chain 1, and then it says we're going to single crochet into that same chain 2 space that we joined. Okay, you can go over your beginning tail to help secure it. Okay, and we're going to do a single crochet. Okay, we're going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and I'm going to work over my beginning tail to help weave it in. So we're going to do a single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we are going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do 5 double crochets into the next stitch. Okay, so skip the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and do 5 double crochets in the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and now we are going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to single crochet in the last 5 stitches. So skip the next 2, 1 and 2, and then do a single crochet in the last 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, going on to row 2 of the second lobe, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now it says we are going to repeat rows 16 and 17 from the first lobe. So we're going to do the same thing that we did over here. So going back to row 16 of our instructions, we're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to yarn over in preparation of doing a double crochet. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, and that will get us to this little shell that we did. Okay, so skip the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2. We're going to do 3 double crochets into the next stitch, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 double crochet into the last stitch of that shell. Okay, now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do, I lost my place there. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to single crochet in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that ends that row. Okay, we're at the end of that row, and now we are going to go on to the final row. In this one, we are not going to chain 1 and turn. We're just going to turn our work. Okay, and then we're going to repeat row 17 from the first lobe, and it says to skip the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, we're going to repeat that. So we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, and that gets us up to the middle of those stitches that makes this lobe. Okay, and so we're going to put 3 double crochets into the top there. Into that stitch, which is the top of our shell or crescent shape. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to work our way back down, and we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2. We're going to repeat that, so a double crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the final stitch of that round, we're just going to slip stitch into there. Okay, and that finishes the second lobe of our heart. Okay, so now we're going to continue on, and we're going to do the edging. Okay, so it says to chain 1, turn our work. Okay, we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we're going to do that again, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then one single crochet in each in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Okay. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the last stitch of round 16 of the second lobe. Okay, so round 16, okay, let's look at our piece here. Okay, so this is the edging that we're doing right now. The round right below that, that was round 17, and so round 16 was the this row right here. Okay, and so if you follow that along the straight part of that round 16 into that last stitch, that's where we want to put a single crochet. Okay, so we're going to skip a good piece right there, and we're going to put a single crochet into that last stitch of round 16. Okay, okay, so now, okay, so when we finish that, where after we single crochet into the last stitch of row 16, okay, we are going to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into that marked space that we still have marked, okay, which was a chain 2 space. We're going to slip stitch into that marked space, okay, with a slip stitch. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start going up the next lobe, okay, and we're going to do 1 single crochet at the end of row 16. So remember, 17 was the top, this top row, 16 was 1 row down, which is this one, and if we follow this one, the stitches, those 3 stitches, the stitches that were from row 16, so we want to do a single crochet into the end of that row. Okay, 1 single crochet. Okay, so now we are ready to go across around this next lobe. We're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, just 1 each, so 1 and 2. I'm working over my tail, okay, the tail that I had from when I was when I joined, okay, to do the second stitch, that lobe, and so I'm working over it just to minimize how much I'll have to weave in. Okay, so we did single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and now we need to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're going to do a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1 each in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, okay, and then we're going to repeat that. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then we're going to do single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then we're going to do we're going to repeat it again one more time. So 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to do that. I'm going to find that row 16 again to do a single crochet into that. So here was row, well, here's the edging row we're just doing right now. Here is row 17 right here. Row 16 is this row right here. So following the curve, we're going to see where the stitches straightened out, and they straightened out right here. And so we're going to do 1 single crochet in the end of that row 16. Okay, okay, so that gets us around the second lobe. We're going to continue down this side, okay, and we're going to do 15 more because that was the first one of the single crochet. So they're wanting you to have 16 stitches all the way down this straight side. Just evenly space them. And so we've already done one, that one we did at the end of row 16, okay? So we're going to do 15 stitches across that side and just evenly space them across, okay, until you get to the tip of your heart, which that is the adjustable ring that we made, you know, the magic circle, okay? So we want 15 stitches across here, okay, just working in the ends of the row, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so now we are at the tip of our heart where the adjustable ring was, and in that adjustable ring, that's why you didn't want to tighten it up all the way. We're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into that adjustable ring. So single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. Okay, so now we can tighten up that ring. Okay, tighten the tail up. Okay, so now we need to do the same thing that we did on this side. We need to do it on this side, okay? So that's a tail I'm going to need to weave in. Okay, so we're going to do, it says repeat from the asterisk to the asterisk once, and so if you back up on the instructions, it says single crochet in the ends of the next 16 rows. So we're going to put 16 stitches all the way across, evenly spaced, just like we did on this side. We need to do 16 stitches, and then we will slip stitch into that first single crochet at the beginning of the first lobe, okay? Okay, so I got my 16 stitches down this final side, and now I'm just going to slip stitch into my first stitch, okay? And then fasten off, okay? Okay, so do the same thing I did before. You just act like you're chaining one and then just pull it all the way through to fasten off and snug your tail down. Okay, so now I'm going to weave in my ends, okay, and then I want to do another one of these. So you're going to want 2 of these large hearts, okay, and so we can take the marker out now. Okay, so I want 2 of these large hearts. So go ahead and reverse the video and make your second one. See, I've already made my second one. And weave in your ends, okay? And then we will go on to the next section of our pattern. Okay, so I've got 2 of my 2 hearts made, okay? So let's now go on to the next section, which in the pattern is called the lace heart. And what you're going to do is you're going to reverse the video once again, and you're going to repeat this mitered square part of the pattern, but this time you're only going to repeat it long enough until you have 10 single crochets on one side, and then the chain 2 space, and then 10 single crochets going down the next side. Okay, so reverse the video, go back to your large heart pattern and do rows 1 through 10 of the large heart. Okay, and you, like I said, you'll end up with 10 single crochets on one side, a chain 2, and 10 single crochets on down the next side, and then I will meet you up there. Okay. Okay, so I made the pattern again, and this is the end of round 10. I have 10 single crochets here, chain 2, 10 single crochets down this side, okay? And so I'm at the end of row 10. So let's go on and form the lobes of this smaller heart. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, okay? Now I'm going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, okay? And then I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches and do 5 double crochets in the next stitch. So 1, 2, and I'm going to skip those next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, do 5 double crochets into the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and I forgot to tell you, at the end of round 10, you want to place a marker in that chain 2 space that we created, just like we did in the other, the large heart. Okay. Okay, so we've done our 5 double crochets into that stitch. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do a single crochet into the last 2 stitches. So skip the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then single crochet into the next 2 stitches, which is the last 2 of that round. So 1 and 2, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in that chain 2 chain space. Okay, just leave the marker there. Okay. So that is row 11 of the lobe for the lace heart, okay? Okay, now row 12, which is the final row, once we do this, we'll be finished with the first lobe. So we are not going to chain before we turn, but we're just going to turn our work. And we're going to skip the first 3 single crochets of that round, okay? And then we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches after we skip those first 3, okay? So 2 double crochets each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2 in that first double crochet, okay? And then 1 and 2 in the second double crochet. 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're going to do, I had to look at my pattern again. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets into the top of that shell, right? So 3 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3, okay? And then we're working down this other side of that shell that we made. We're going to do 2 double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch in the very last stitch of that round. Or the row, sorry, slip stitch, okay? And that is our first lobe of our small lace heart completed, okay? So now we are going to fasten off. Find my scissors here, they got covered up. Okay, so fasten off the same way, just do a chain and then pull your hook all the way through, okay? Snug it down. Okay. Now we are going to take our red yarn again so we can make the second lobe on this side, okay? With the right side facing and the larger hook, the 5.5 millimeter, we're still working on that. Join color A, which is red in my case, with a slip stitch in the chain 2 space, okay? So the right side facing, actually I have to turn my work, the right side facing, slip stitch because I'm working in this direction, so slip stitch into the chain 2 space. That's how we're joining our yarn. So insert my hook into the chain 2 space, pull up a loop, and chain to create the slip stitch join. Okay, now I'm going to join chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet back into that chain 2 space, working over my tail. Okay, and then continuing on, I'm going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1 single crochet in each. So 1 in the next stitch and 1 in the next stitch, okay? And now I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches and do 5 double crochets in the next one. So I'm yarning over to prepare to do the double crochet. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and do 5 double crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, skip the next 2 stitches and then double crochet in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. That gets you to the end. Okay, and now we're going to repeat row 12 of the first lobe. Okay, so we are not going to chain, we're just going to turn our work. We're going to skip the first 3, those first 3 single crochets, and then I'm going to yarn over and do 2 double crochets each in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so 1 and 2, and then 2 double crochets also in the next stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, that gets us to the top of this shell, and so we're going to do 3 double crochets into that top stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then in the next 2 stitches we're going to do 2 double crochets each in each one. Okay, so 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. Okay. And now we are going to finish off by skipping the next 2 stitches, and we're going to slip stitch in the very last stitch. So skip the next 2 stitches, slip stitch in the last stitch, and fasten off, and that will be our heart. Okay. So I'm going to fasten off, chain 1, and then pull it all the way through to fasten it off. Okay, so there's our heart. I just have to go in and weave in these ends. But remember, don't pull this adjustable ring at the bottom. We want to make sure that you do not, leave a space, so then when we do our edging, if we need to work into that, then we will be able to, and then we can snug it down at the end. So don't weave this one in yet, but you can weave these remaining tails that you can weave those in. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll be right back and we will do the edging. Okay, so taking my white yarn and my 5.5 millimeter hook, I'm going to join with a slip stitch into that chain 2 space that we have marked. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook into that chain 2 space and draw up a loop of my white yarn. Chain 1 to make a slip stitch and to lock it into place. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1. It says single crochet in the first stitch of row 11. Now the top of this lobe, that was row 12, so row 11 was 1 row down. Okay, and so if you look, here is the beginning of row 12, and remember we skipped 3 single crochets in that row before we did row 12, and so they want you to make a single crochet at the end of that row 11. Okay, and I'm working over my tail in the back. Okay, so now going on 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and this is going to be actually in the first stitch of row 12. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch, 1 and 2. Okay. And then 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Okay. And then I'm going to repeat that little sequence 3 times. So 2 single crochet, I do it two more times, a total of 3 times. I've already done it once. So 2 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. We're going to do that again. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Okay. Two single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Okay. And now we are going to single crochet down this straight piece, and we want to do 11 single crochets evenly across, and to get us all the way to the adjustable ring. So we need to do 11 single crochets down this edge. Okay. Okay, so now we are at where the adjustable ring is, and in the adjustable ring we are going to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, so single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and then single crochet down again into the adjustable ring. Now we can take the tail of the adjustable ring and we can tighten it up. Okay. Okay, continuing on, we are now going to work up this side of our heart, and we're going to do 11 single crochets up this straight edge, just like we did over here. Okay, so we're going to do 11 stitches all the way up this side. Okay, and so do that, and I will meet you when we get up to where it starts curving again for the following, going around the following, the second lobe. Okay, I'll meet you up in just a minute. Okay, so I got my 11 stitches down that side, going on around this following lobe of the heart. I am going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. Okay. And then I'm going to single crochet 1 each in the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, okay, and then we're going to repeat that again. Get some more yarn here. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next, each in the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we're going to do it again. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, two single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, which actually is the end of round 11, the end of that row. Okay, so now we are going on, we're not going to join, we're going on to row 2 of the edging, and it says to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and turn our work. Okay, and then we are going to single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, single crochet, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 13 times. So skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, okay? And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, okay? And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to repeat that 13 times, well, a total of 13 times. And that will get us down to this edge, okay? So it'll get us down to the last stitch down here before we get to where the chain 2 space is on the tip, okay? So let me do that and I will meet you when I get down to this tip. Okay, so I've got down to where the chain 2 space was at the tip of the heart, and I just single crocheted into the last single crochet on that side right before the chain 2 space. So now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and it says to skip that chain 2 space. Okay, we're going to skip it. And then single crochet in the very next single crochet. Okay, sorry about that, I was reading my pattern. So we're just going to chain 3, skip the chain 2 space, just go over it, and then single crochet in the first single crochet of this side, okay? And now we're going to repeat, and we're going to do this chain 3 and skip a stitch and single crochet, and we're going to go all the way to the end. I mean, to the, you know, completing this other side, okay? So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip the next single crochet, and we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, okay? So we're going to do that. Keep doing that all the way around the curve here, and I will meet you up when we get to the end. Okay, so I'm right at the end. I chained 3, and now I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I will end up single crocheting in the very last single crochet. Okay, just like that. Okay, so that is the end of round 2. And then it says we're not going to join, okay? It says to chain 1 and turn your work again, okay? And then we're going to slip stitch in the first chain 3 space. Slip stitch, okay? Okay, and now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the single crochet, and we're going to single crochet into the chain 3 space, okay? Just like that. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the single crochet into the chain 3 space, okay? So we're going to do that a total of 14 times, it says. Okay, so that's 1, 2, I've already done it twice, so this is number 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the single crochet in the next chain 3 space. So there's 3. So we're going to do 14 times. So when I get my 14th one done, I will meet you back up and we will go on to the next step. Okay, so I just made my 14 loops, and it gets me to the very tip of my heart. And so now it says to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space that you did the last single crochet in. Okay, the same one. Okay, so now we are going to continue around the remaining half of our heart, and it says we should have 13 of these chain 3 loops, okay, and we're going to be doing the same thing. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet into the next chain 3 loop. Okay, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the next chain 3 loop. Okay, so we're going to do that until we get all the way back up to the beginning again. Okay, and so now I'm at the top, back up at the top of my heart again. So now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then now it says to slip stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space in the beginning. okay, to close off my heart, and then I will fasten off. So I'm going to take this marker out, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that beginning chain 2 space to fasten it off. Okay, so there is my my lace heart. Okay, so now I'm going to fasten off. Okay, and then I'm going to weave in my ends. So I'm going to weave in this end, and then back here where I tightened up my adjustable ring, I need to weave in that one, and if you have the beginning tail, if some of that's sticking out, you can weave that one in. Okay, so I'm going to weave in my loose tails, and then I will meet you back up, and we will do the side gusset, and then the handles, and then we will start putting our little heart gift bag together. Okay, be back in a bit.